Check, check, 1, 2, testing room audio, 1, 2. One, two, 1, 2. Josh, you hear me? 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check. Nope, we do not hear you. 1, 2. Check, check. 1, 2. Let's check that audio again. 1, 2. I do not hear you. Are you in the live room? Let me just check. 1, 2. Josh, do you hear me? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, we're going to see why we don't hear you. 1 second. Come on back. You heard me? I heard you. You're in the live. Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Test, test. 1, 2. Do you hear me, Josh?
Test, test. I hear
we,
you.
we got you. Good.
I'd like to call the December 18th, 2023 Board of Commissioners Business Meeting to order. As usual, we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and tonight, Commissioner Ruth Damsker will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ruth. Deanna, will you do the roll call?
Denise Hall, President.
Here.
Catherine Carter, Vice President.
Here.
Liz McNaney, Commissioner.
Here.
Martha Similaro, Commissioner.
Here.
Ruth Damsker, Commissioner.
Here.
Sandra Zadell, Township Manager.
Here.
Megan Weaver, Assistant Township Manager.
Here.
Lauren Gallagher, Township Solicitor.
Here.
Nicholas Cross, Township Engineer.
Here.
David Duffy, Chief of Police. Nathan Crittenden, Finance Director. And it is noted that Zoning Officer Van Reeker is absent.
Thank you, Deanna. Lauren, were there any executive sessions?
There were not.
Thank you, Lauren. For our next agenda item, I will turn it over to Commissioner Carter.
Sorry about that. This evening, we'd like to recognize Peg Poirier for 20 years of service to the township. Peg is a very dedicated employee with a strong work ethic. She gets to the station and starts early every day. Peg's duties include report management, youth aid panel referrals, call intake, and alarm permit management. As a Upper Gwynedd Police matron, Peg also handles hearings and other court-related issues, which are important and complex tasks. Peg is a role model to others, and we look forward to many more years of her service to the Upper Gwynedd Township. Thank you to Peg.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter.
No, she's not here.
Our next item of business is the Power Line Trail presentation. It is my pleasure to give the floor to Chris Stanford from Michael Baker Engineers. Just make sure it's on and
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. As you know, we've been working with the township for the last several years on several trail initiatives. So we'd like to sort of give you a briefing on a number of them that we've wrapped up this year. The first is the Power Line Trail feasibility study. As you recall, Township got a DCNR grant to explore the feasibility of developing a almost 7-mile trail that would cross from the east side of the township all the way to the west side of the township with the goal of connecting to the 202 Parkway Trail. As you can see on this map, we've developed sort of a township-wide map as well, showing all the existing facilities as well as the existing bike trails, existing bike lanes that are such as Morris Road and any proposed bike lanes like Broad Street that are planned in the future. But we also, as part of the feasibility study, looked at the long-range development of the Power Line Trail, which would be a walking and biking facility within the PICO-owned corridor that crosses the township that's shown here in yellow. If you could go to the next slide, please. So what I'll do is just sort of walk through what's been planned so far. I just would say that this is a work in progress. This is going to be a long-range project for the township, or probably a decade or more probably to build it out, using grant funding most likely as that's available. What you see here is not set in stone, but is a guide for future planning purposes and development. So starting at the west end of the township near Morris Road and the Turnpike, we would likely be using the existing Morris Road bike lanes or a potential widening of the existing sidewalk network there to connect up to the existing power line corridor, which is owned by PICO and is shown in light blue here. The dark blue line is the general alignment of where the trail is planned. As you can see, would follow the corridor through up to the SEPTA Stony Creek branch Railroad, which presents one of the first major challenge for the trail crossing. If you would go to the next slide. Fortunately, we were able to discover that there's an old bridge tunnel facility that crosses underneath the SEPTA Stony Creek branch. We were actually able to reach out to have a coordination meeting with SEPTA about this, and they're supportive of the township using this tunnel for the trail network. So we're likely going to be working with the township staff moving forward to formalize an agreement with SEPTA to allow the trail to use that facility and to get into a little bit more detail about how that would have to be improved to accommodate the trail. And then the trail network would continue up to a small trail extension that was actually constructed as part of a land development project at Moyer Boulevard. And continuing on to West Point Pike, where we likely would either replace the sidewalk there with a side path or just widen the sidewalk to reach the existing trail that crosses over the Wissahickon Creek and leads into the park, the backside of Parkside Place Park. Next slide, please. All right, so this is the rest of the corridor showing the eastern part of the township, starting again coming out of Parkside Place, using the existing traffic signal on Sumney Town to cross over Sumney Town, and then parallel to Sumney Town, reaching down towards the Creek corridor again, and then back onto the Pico corridor. Between Sumney Town and Wissahickon Avenue, we have a nice open space parcel here that leads us to the Dodsworth Run Preserve. So that would be a nice destination along the trail network as well. But here's where we get into a little bit more challenges with the trail network. Again, we have to do a crossing of the SEPTA Lansdale Doylestown line. And right now there is no crossing, obviously, where the Pico corridor crosses the SEPTA line. So we had conversations with SEPTA about potential ideas such as reopening an at-grade crossing at Dickerson Road. In the past, there actually was an at-grade crossing there that was removed several decades ago. But in conversations with SEPTA, they were reluctant to open that one up again. And they're not really too crazy about a new bridge or a tunnel where the Pico line crosses, just to the scale of that project and the complications that would go on with that. So they actually suggested that we look at potentially using the existing crossing down at the North Wales train station, Beaver Street there, to reroute the trail to an existing crossing, so we wouldn't be creating a new facility, a new crossing anywhere on their network. So that's something we'll have to be look at in the near future, working with the township staff to try to look into that alternative. We're hoping eventually to get back up to the Pico corridor up near Mill Road, where we have another great opportunity to create a safe routes to school section here between Pembroke Middle School and Gwynedd Elementary School. So connecting the residential area there at Mill Road up to the two school facilities. And then moving onward to the east, we would be crossing over Hancock Road, and then onto the Delaware Valley University agricultural parcel there. Be working around the active the agricultural parts of that parcel, up to Welsh Road, paralleling Welsh Road up to DeKalb, using the existing signal, and then likely a widened sidewalk section or a side path to reach the 202 Parkway. So that's the general alignment that's planned out so far for the Powerline Trail. Next slide, please. So just a few summary items. Again, we wrapped up the feasibility study for that project this year in 2023. With the help of township staff, they conducted, I would say, over a dozen or more neighborhood meetings, outreach meetings with different property owners and neighborhoods to tell them about the project and to understand their concerns as we move forward. The big win really as part of this project was getting agreement from Pico. We actually, township, as you know, agreed to and signed a lease agreement with Pico to allow the trail to be developed on the Pico property in the future. So that's a really big hurdle, for this particular project, allowing, the land is basically available for the trail, with Pico's approval, obviously. As final designs are done for various sections, the plans will go to Pico for review and approval, and we'll get their input on any specific details. that they would like to see on the project. But we've generally given them a concept plan, and they've agreed to the whole concept and allowed the township to move forward with future planning and design of various sections. So that's definitely a big win for the township. As I mentioned, we had started the coordination with SEPTA, so they've agreed to support the idea for the Stony Creek crossing. But again, they're kind of resilient to approve anything on the Lansdale-Doylestown yet. They think they would need some more study there before we go forward with any crossings there. And as I mentioned, we identified this potential Safe Routes to School project near Pembroke and Gwynnor project area, and we actually had an opportunity for a grant application for the PennDOT Multimodal Transportation Fund just in November. So we actually went ahead and made that submission to PennDOT to see if they would support a project there to connect the two schools with a walking and biking trail. And one just sort of anecdotal note, as one of our trail planners is a history buff, and he was exploring the origins of the Pico Corridor, and he came across this sort of icon that the energy folks were trying to get support with. It's called Ready Kilowatt. So they had like a mascot for the whole electrical grid, if you can imagine, in the 1920s when electrics was coming out. So he took it upon himself to come up with a potential logo for the trail network already. Of course it was.
He's also a local resident as well.
Yeah, he
So
lives-
that's fun that he went to that. I love that
Used to
logo.
be
That's so
out-
cute.
They used to have commercials for staying safe against the power lines.
Yep.
And that was the cartoon that they used to use on TV.
So maybe that's something we can think about as a mascot or a logo for the trail network. So anyway, moving on. If it's okay, we'll just talk base a little bit on Liberty Bell Trail. All right. So we had actually another couple of initiatives related to the trail networks here in the township, and it's the Liberty Bell Trail. So again, it sort of crosses the township north to south in a way. So another feasibility study initiative that's been ongoing for a couple of years now. We first did a sort of longer range feasibility study between Upper Gwynedd all the way up to Telford, working with the PA Environmental Council. They helped the township get a grant and all the municipalities along the way to study a potential extension of the development of the Liberty Bell Trail for about 11 miles from here all the way up to the Bucks County. So that was one part of the puzzle. And then we recently worked with PEC to do a smaller scale study to look how we could extend to the south down toward Norristown Farm Park, as well as down to the Schuylkill River Trail in Norristown to the south. So that's the piece in the township is shown in yellow right here is the potential idea for the Liberty Bell Trail in Upper Gwynedd. Next slide, please. So again, looking at the south end of the potential Liberty Bell Trail, the focus was on the North Wales Road corridor. So we were looking at, again, to the south in Worcester and Whitpain, there's some large sections where residential development has built some trails and sidewalks along North Wales Road, and there's a lot of potential for widening those to develop the trail network. In Upper Gwynedd, it's a little more challenging, but we still think it's feasible to look at the North Wales Road corridor for a potential side path to be developed as a walking and biking route that would connect up into the township. We did run into some pinch points in the right-of-way as we approach North Wales and get closer into the more developed parts of the township. So we're likely looking at a combination of sidewalks and maybe signing and pavement marking on Shearer Street and Clover Drive to use some quiet residential streets to get into the backside of Parkside Place and use the existing trail connection there from Clover Drive into the park. Next slide, please. So again, it's interesting, we would actually, in Parkside Place and between Sumneytown and Wissahickon, we would sort of co-locate the two trails. So the Liberty Bell Trail and the Powerline Trail would basically be on top of each other until we get up to Wissahickon Avenue. Then the Liberty Bell Trail would branch off to the north, taking a left there along Wissahickon Avenue, where there's some larger industrial properties and residential properties that are set back from the roadway, where we have some green space to potentially do a side path. And then we'd cross over Church Road at the signal and then work our way through the industrial park on Pembroke Parkway to get over to Stony Creek Park, where Lansdale has already built a section of Liberty Bell Trail. And as you know, it continues into the borough and further north towards Bucks County. It's interesting, Hatfield and Lansdale have also acquired some additional grants. They're working on design and construction of a couple more sections of Liberty Bell Trail that came out of the feasibility study that we worked on in 2022. So, a lot still happening with Liberty Bell Trail and hoping to advance some more sections as that moves forward. Next. So just wrapping up on Liberty Bell Trail, again, that first larger feasibility study was finished up in 22. And we finished up this smaller scale study just this last year in summer and fall, working with PEC towards the south. And again, their focus really right now is to work on those easier sections in Wet Pain and Worcester and try to get connection down Norristown Flower Park. And again, with some on-road sections that would lead you all the way down to the Schuylkill River Trail in Norristown. So we're working with PEC and townships along the way to try to find grant opportunities, and we're hoping to advance some of those sections into design and construction in the near future. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer.
Does anyone, first of all, thank you. That's great. Does anyone on the board have any questions? Or staff? No?
Just a comment. Thank you, Chris, for the good work you guys have done on this. And thanks, Mike, for that logo. I loved it. And also, I'm really excited that we have this updated trail map to share with residents because I think it shows the culmination of all this work that we've done to put a new map out and show people what they can expect today.
Yeah, it's a valuable tool for planning going future. If land development comes in, you can look at the map and go, oh, this would be affected by a project and so on. So it's definitely worthwhile. Like Moyer Boulevard was a perfect example where we knew that the trail was coming. Good job, Sandra. No, we knew the trail was coming. That was a potential alignment, and we were able to work with a developer to get that built. So it aligns with a future plan, and it's a benefit for the residents too. So
We were just talking before the meeting about how slow government is. And because these trail projects are especially slow, on the slow side, it really helps to have updates and refreshed maps and just to let everybody know that it's still moving forward and helping us all wrap our brain around exactly where it is as well. So those are both great reasons to do it periodically. Thank you.
all right, thank you very much.
Does anyone have any questions from the public? Oh, we have the expert at the mic. I knew it. I knew they'd have some questions for you. How about you come on up and say your name?
Chris, you can feel free to move over. Josh will give you that microphone. There you go. Perfect.
And if you're a resident or not.
Yeah,
Feel
William
free to
Jackson.
ask your questions.
I'm a resident of Upper Gwynedd.
And what is your name, sir?
William Jackson.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead and ask.
First off, just want to say I completely support the updates and the work that's been gone into this. I look forward to using this. The power line trail will go through my neighborhood, and I'm more than ready for it to happen. A couple of questions, though. One, Power Line Trail, it's a very generic name. In fact, there's one in Horsham already, and when I talk to people about it, they're like, oh, are you talking about the one in Horsham? So I would encourage us to explore something that's a little bit more Upper Gwynedd identifying if we come up with a name
Reddy's
for it.
Trail?
I was just going to say,
No, we could have a contest or something cool to name it.
that's a great point to bring up.
I do have some concerns about what I saw on the map north of Sumneytown, where it goes up the creek up towards Wissahickon. When we did this study 2 years ago, there was 3 options for going north of Sumneytown. There was Church Road, there was generally what was shown in this map, and then there was going up Dickerson. And I do think Dodsworth is a gem that a lot of people don't know about in the township. And it seems like Dickerson's the best way to get you to Dodsworth. The map that I saw sort of implied 2 different bridges across the creek, and the creek floods. I didn't get a chance to get down there today, but as a taxpayer, I want this trail to be open as many days of the year as possible, and I want us to avoid having to fix it continually if there's washouts. So to me, the less we can run close to the creek, even though it may be picturesque, it might be a better way to go long term. So I was just wondering why the creek was sort of back into the plan.
I mean, right-of-way acquisition and getting the rights to build their trail are usually one of our biggest challenges. So being able to work with PICO to acquire the rights to put the trail in that big piece of ground was an advantage of that option. To be honest, they basically told us if you want to do it on our property, you need to put the trail at this location. So that's why we wound up with 2 bridge crossings and why it sort of crosses twice and so on. They wanted us to stay a certain distance away from their infrastructure. So that was the main reason there. If we went to the other roadway options, we likely would have some more right-of-way acquisition and potentially higher costs to develop those trails. It's not off the table. Like I said, this is not set in stone. But the fact that we were able to have like 7 miles of continuous right-of-way all in one shot was a huge benefit to the township. And we were going to start with moving forward with that option first.
Okay.
And Bill, the town I previously managed, almost all of our trails were right next to the creek, and they're surprisingly resilient. They flood and they recede and they live on. So, and they're all over 20 years old. So I think that's why we paved them first of all, instead of like a crushed stone would wash out. It's not ideal, but I think Chris is totally right. Like right-of-way acquisition is actually even harder than acquiring the funding for these projects. So sometimes if we can take the win, we just have to take it where we're allowed to take it.
Okay.
Good question, though.
I do like the compromise of trying to go south down North Wales Road. It will be a challenge, the hill, for some people, but it does present an option for finally coming up with a connection point that's probably acceptable to the neighbors in that part of the township. And my last question is the SEPTA crossing at Dickerson. Is the proposal, or what you took to SEPTA, was to open it to cars and the trail, or was it going to be just a trail crossing and they were saying, no, we don't want that?
It was just a trail connection.
Okay.
But again, safety issues and everything else that go into that, they were reluctant to do that. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Bill, did you have other public comments to make during the public comment section?
No, so this takes care of me signing up on the list.
Great, thank you so much. Mark, did you have a comment or question?
Mark Connolly, 11 Kearney Drive. So I live in one of the developments that's just off of Mill Road. So if you could go back, I think like maybe 2 or 3, that one. Oh wait, that's the one I was looking for. So I guess the question I had is, you were saying that they might have to go down Beaver Street in order to do the crossing. I guess where would the trail go in that situation? Would it basically just that blue line get diverted and follow Beaver Street down basically to Wissahickon Avenue?
To be honest with you, we need to look into it some more. This is a relatively recent, ask of SEPTA. We'll have to look into that some more.
I guess the other question is, because if you go down Beaver Street towards Wissahickon, you're going to be entering North Walesboro. The dark blue line on the left clips Lansdale Borough just a bit. I guess, is it going to make building the trail more challenging if we have to bring in another municipality for very, very de minimis sections of the trail?
I don't think so. I mean, I think township has good working relationships with both, and usually one municipality takes the lead, and the other folks, they'll review it and give comments if they have any concerns. But usually they work hand in hand with each other on projects like this.
Okay. I mean, I would love for Dickerson Road to be reopened, because I know for me, I always want, it always seems like it's a missing connection with the rest of the township. But but I also know that, I've been to some of the businesses that are along Wissahickon, and I know the railroad is quite high up, and I'm guessing it's probably going to take quite a bit of construction to fill that in. So I don't know if I've ever walked quite down on that far in Dickerson to see, but at that spot. But I definitely am also in favor of the trail. I should be walking a lot more, and if I had this, I would actually be able to do so. And I know too, going kind of back to Beaver Street, the other thing I worry about with Beaver Street is that there are some spots right now where there really isn't sidewalk, and where I don't know how much room you really have to put sidewalk. I guess maybe on the Upper Gwynedd side, there's a little bit more room, but.
Yeah, we're definitely going to take a close look at all those options to see what makes sense.
Yeah. All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Does anyone else have a question that is trail related or comment?
I just have one
go ahead.
thing, one important thing. If people, all the millions of people that are watching us before the game tonight at 45 minutes or whatever, this map is on the agenda for tonight. So if you click on the power line presentation, you'll see a map to to what Chris was just telling us about. So that's included on the agenda. And to the resident that just emailed us, thank you for pointing that out and letting us be able to share that with everybody else, that it's there on the agenda for everyone to see. So thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate it. All right, next up, we have the public comments. Please state your name and if you are a resident or non-resident when you come to the mic. Thank you for respecting the 5-minute rule and practicing decorum. Our goal is to always give you the most complete and correct answers to your questions from our staff who are experts in each of their areas. For that reason, you have the option of enclosing your email address in the registry if you would like us to reach out to you during the week with full answers to your questions. First up for public comments this evening is Greg Landis.
Good evening. Greg Landis, 770 Sumneytown Pike, kind of on behalf of Merck. I just wanted to publicly thank Commissioners Similaro and Damsker for their support to this board. I've been privileged on behalf of Merck to present a number of times before the board with them on it, and I appreciate your attentiveness, your commitment to detail, and your zeal to serve the township. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. Next up, we have Tom Dunn.
Good evening. My name is Tom Dunn. I am a resident of the township, and he just stole my thunder. I too want to thank.
Make sure you're speaking into the mic. Thanks.
I too want to thank the commissioners for the attention they gave me last week. I want to thank the township manager for her promised follow-up, and I look forward to continuing to get those follow-ups and hopefully action in the foreseeable future. Merry Christmas, and my offer stands to bring your waiters out and see my yard in person.
Mr. Dunn, I
Thank
have
you,
to
Tom.
respond to you because we get a lot
too.
of people that complain at the podium, and very infrequently do they come back to thank us, even when we've helped them the same way that we helped you. So I really appreciate you coming tonight and thanking us.
Well, it's not over yet.
Yeah, I know, but you still said thank you for the one thing we did. We're on it now.
Okay, next up, we have Judy Voss.
Hello.
Hi.
I have four comments. The first one is, I encourage the commissioners and township management to speak to Natural Lands Trust. Maybe you have already, and it's just something I'm not aware of. I know I've been a donor to them for many years, and I just encourage you to garner their experience and advice in securing land and potentially sources of financing.
Judy, can you make sure you're in the mic? We are having
Still
trouble
can't
hearing
hear
you.
me. Okay.
Yeah, just
Shall I restart?
go ahead.
Okay. I encourage the commissioners and township management to speak to Natural Lands Trust to garner their experience and advice for securing land, as well as sourcing financing to preserve the last few remaining open spaces in the township. I know there was talk about the Martin Tract for, it's been on and off over many years, but it's a desirable piece of land because it is a substantial size, and it is also an opportunity to protect the water that flows into the creek from development. So again, to emphasize my point, Natural Lands has staffing that helps many municipalities along in the broader area, and you probably are aware of them because of the Gwynedd Preserve. All right, so that's point number one. Have you
Thank
ever
you.
spoken to them?
I've worked with them in another community regarding open space acquisition, so I'm familiar with their program.
Okay, so it's good that you're familiar with them, so I encourage you to speak to them. In fact, I did speak to them on behalf of Upper Gwynedd Township, just as a resident, and they said that they might actually be looking at land inside the township already. So they already have feelers out there for things like this, so. All right, second is I would like to present a petition in support of biking infrastructure in Upper Gwynedd Township. And I will read the petition. Can you tell me how much time I have left? Because I won't be able to get through all of it, and I might just shorten it.
I would just shorten it. Just shorten it.
So why biking infrastructure matters is because it's eco-friendly commuting. It provides financial relief as a commuting option, which biking can alleviate the financial burdens of owning and maintaining a car, and ultimately it provides health benefits. So promoting biking helps improve our physical fitness and also our air quality and our overall well-being. So our request is twofold: dedicated bike lanes and easement trails, which of course is the main subject of tonight. So I will leave that with you. I spent some time on it, and there were 58 signers, and so I think it's a substantial representation of the broader interest of biking in Upper Gwynedd Township. It's something that's come along over the last 35 years of me living in the Philadelphia region. The last thing is I would like to comment on the southern section of the proposed Liberty Bell Trail. In my opinion, as I've ridden my bike on it, it is dangerous for me in 4 ways. The speed of the cars in both directions due to the downhill slopes and the perceived width in both directions leads the car drivers to speed. The second is the southbound incline is steep and therefore difficult for a cyclist to stay in a bike lane. Third, there is a pinch point at the bridge over the train tracks, which has, I think, been recently replaced and is more than likely not going to be replaced anytime soon. And then the fourth is the intersection between North Wales Road, Morris Road, and of course, you need to consider Township Line Road, is very complicated for car drivers to be able to see and avoid cyclists. It's complicated even for drivers. And then I asked, does the police department have any, and can they share any records of accidents in this intersection since the realignment? I would also like to address those residents who may be opposed to the original alignment of the southern section of the Liberty Bell Trail that was originally proposed by the Circuit Trail Coalition of the DVRPC. And there are a number of studies on the value of the multi-use off-road trails. I'd be glad to talk to you individually. I'd be glad to give you my email address. It's jvose@comcast.net. And I would summarize some of them here. Your property value will increase with the use of trails. You might just take a look around to Lower Gwynedd Township, Lower Salford Township, and Horsham Township, which have all done very well real estate-wise, and they have more extensive trails than we have here. And then through multiple local and national studies, crime rate has not shown to increase. In fact, it has been proven to decrease along abandoned rails, which this is partially an abandoned rail that we were talking about previously. Another advantage to developing safe cycling infrastructure is the lessening of road use, which in turn eases township expenses and the subsequent tax burden to residents. Recognize that, I also want to tell those residents, recognize that you bought a piece of property adjacent to an existing right-of-way and that you don't maintain nor pay taxes on that. And really, you shouldn't be able to prevent development of it. To this last point, I would encourage the commissioners to recognize to the detriment of the other residents by redirecting the trail alignment in this section to the streets at the behest of a few people. So if you would like my comments
Thank you.
in writing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. We'll take that all into consideration. You are aware that we are working on bike lanes. Okay. It's great to have that feedback and know that people have an interest. Thank you so much. Would anyone else like to make a public comment this evening before we close the public comment section? Okay. All right. So we're going to close the public comment section and we're going to move on to agenda item number 8, our consent agenda items. Is there a motion to approve consent items A through H?
So moved.
There is a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? Deanna, will you do the roll call?
President Hall?
Aye.
Vice President Carter?
Aye.
Commissioner McNaney?
Aye.
Commissioner Similaro?
Aye.
Commissioner Damsker?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Next up is the approval of our supplemental budget appropriations. During the 2024 budgeting process, the township took a close look at the end-of-the-year projections as compared to its original budgeting expectations and found favorable variances, allowing for an increase of $435,000 from the Capital Reserve Fund to be used to supplement future budgeted project spending. The new amount of transfer, including the increase, is $750,000. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 30-2023 supplemental budget appropriations?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, we have the Huff Recycling contract renewal. Huff Associates is responsible for gathering all the required recycling data for residential and commercial properties in the township. This information is filed with county and state, and then they will prepare a form for a grant application based on the data received. The more we recycle in the township, the more funds we receive from DEP. This is a 3-year contract covering the years 2023, 2024, and 2025. Is there a motion to approve the Huff Recycling contract renewal for 2023, 2024, and 2025?
So moved.
We have a motion and we have a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, it's that time again. As we enter a new 2-year cycle with the new team of commissioners, we like to complete a goal-setting workshop with the new BOC right after reorganization. Is there a motion to approve the agreement with Urban Edge Analytica to complete a goal-setting workshop in early 2024 in the amount of $2,500?
So moved.
We have a motion and we have a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All opposed? Nay. Nay, okay. Okay, do you have anything else to say about that? Okay, so the motion passes, Correct? Okay. Moving on, I'm now going to turn the meeting over to Commissioner Carter.
Good evening. Just a few comments and thank yous to our Upper Gwynedd Police Department for another successful years for Toys for Tots. And also thank you to our Upper Gwynedd Fire Department for another year, an exciting Santa Fire Truck Run this past Saturday, along with the 5th annual Sensory Santa event hosted by the Deaf Hearing Communications. They also had the 3rd annual Signing Santa at Upper Gwynedd Fire Department. So please check out the Police and Fire Department's Facebook pages for pictures of the 2 outings and for some of the water rescues that our fire department had over the last 2 days with all the rain. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter. Commissioner Damsker, you're good right now. You don't have anything under your section. Commissioner McNaney, I'll now turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you. I don't have anything, but I do want to just talk briefly, and Sandra, I'll ask you to chime in as well, on the new recyclable bin that we have in the parking lot. I got some comments recently that it's full. That's a good thing. But Sandra just wanted to, there was an article in the Gazette about it, about how we're paying for it and what its purpose is. So Sandra, if you could just elaborate a bit.
Actually, I'm not to dodge your questions, but I would like to turn it over to Megan Weaver, who organized the entire electronic recycling program for our residents at no cost to our residents. So Megan, if you can just share a bit, and please share about PAR as well, because I think it's so special, the company and their mission and how it's done.
So PAR Recycle Works is a nonprofit organization where prisoners that are released, it tries to get them to reacclimate into the community by offering them jobs for this organization. So we've been working with them. They've done our past e-recycling shredding events for the past several years. Now this is a new thing that we partnered with them. It cost us nothing. They offer the service free of charge. So far, since it's been put out there, I want to say within the first couple of weeks, we collected 710 pounds of e-recycling waste. We did become aware this morning that it is full, so they were going to be coming out today to take the contents out of it. But they did say that we'll have to figure out a frequency of how often they need to come. But right now, it's looking like every 2 weeks they'll likely have to come. Did I cover everything?
I think so. And just Megan, one other thing that you didn't cover, like, I think we're one of only a few towns in Montgomery County that are offering this services for our residents, right?
Yeah, I'm only aware of one other township that's currently offering it.
Yeah. We checked with them because we wanted to make sure we didn't have an issue. Like, I always worry about illegal dumping, but it's been great. Everyone's doing a great job of, even if it's full, which is an inconvenience, come back a couple weeks later and you should be able to recycle whatever you're looking to recycle.
And this really could go underneath Martha's, but I just wanted to say that the front page of the paper over the weekend did say that the sewer rates were going up $75 a year for our residents. It still keeps us very low compared to neighboring municipalities, second or third lowest, I think. It was needed. Sandra gave a great presentation last week, November, about why, and there's a memo attached to her, to the agenda that explains the I&I and everything that we talked about. But I just wanted to reassure people that we run our own sewage plant, and we want to continue to do that, our wastewater treatment plant. We want to continue to do that. We haven't had an increase in rates since 2017, so this one is needed. And again, it's all in our November's report, where you can read more and find out more, and of course, reach out, and which a lot of people have to us, but we're here to answer, but I just wanted to make it a public statement on it. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner McNaney. I will now turn the meeting over to Commissioner Simulero.
Thank you. Item number 12, we have a motion to approve the quote by Utility Services Group for cleaning and televising sewer mains and laterals in the amount of $250,000. This was approved in the 2024 budget.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? Oh, yes. Bill, do you want to come to the mic, please?
William Jackson again. I missed the meeting where this was discussed. Does this also include the lining of the pipes, or is this just cleaning and looking at them?
So this first action, number 12, is for the cleaning, which we do first. We clean and televise to see if there's any problems. And then the next item, number 13, is actually for the manhole lining and spray lining.
So I'm not an expert, and I wasn't here at the meetings last year when the whole spray lining thing was discussed. But if I read it correctly, it's some kind of styrofoam. Is that right?
I don't know. It's a plastic product. I don't know if I would call it styrofoam.
Okay. So my only comment is this. I'm all for saving money. And I know that it was explained that this was a major money saver in not having to dig up the streets and replace the pipes and delay replacing the pipes. But I presume whatever plastic or synthetic coating this is it's designed, ultimately it's going to wear out, right?
So it does wear out, but it has a lifespan of like 50 to 75 years versus corrugated metal or other pipes, which is what we're usually lining, that's lifespan is 15 to 40.
Okay, so that's great. But we're still talking about however many pounds of plastic that's going to wind its way down into our sewer system. And if we can't strain it out, microplastics, it's going to make its way into the water supply. So I wasn't here when it was discussed. I don't know if that was a consideration. I'm just putting that out there. And I'm not saying I want you to stop it. I missed the conversation.
Even if you say you want us to stop it, we'll probably still do it. I'm sorry, Bill. It's just like a very significant savings, but it is approved by the EPA and DEP, if that gives you any, we're allowed to use it.
But do we have any screening technology in our sewer system that would help prevent that from making its way into the water supply?
Microplastics. This is now, I know one thing, that I should not answer detailed science questions on the spot, but I will get an answer for you.
Okay, thank you.
Get back to you, sure.
Thank you. Okay, so
We're up to 13.
All in favor, we didn't pass it yet, did we? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 13 is the motion to approve the quote by Advanced Rehabilitation Technology for the manhole lining and chimney seals in the amount of $141,000. That was also approved in the 2024 budget, and it does have a 50-year lifespan on that.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Number 14, we have a motion to approve the final payment to Blooming Glen Contractors for the chemical feed flood repairs in the amount of $18,979.41.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? Deanna, will you do the roll call?
President Hall,
Aye.
Vice President Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner McNaney, Commissioner Similaro,
Aye.
Commissioner Damsker.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 15 is a motion to approve the final payment to Blooming Glen Contractors for the emergency declaration project in the amount of $351,705.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments?
What is that? Can you click on it?
I'm sorry.
What emergency declaration?
Yeah, that's the wrong one. That one. It's the final one. It's the final one.
Thank you. She explained it.
Do we have any public comments? Deanna, will you do the roll call?
President Hall,
Aye.
Vice President Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner McNaney,
Aye.
Commissioner Similaro,
Aye.
Commissioner Damsker.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Commissioner Similaro. Next, we have our open and paid invoices. Do we have a motion to approve the December 2023 open invoices?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? Deanna, will you do the roll call?
President Hall,
Aye.
Vice President Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner McNaney,
Aye.
Commissioner Similaro,
Aye.
Commissioner Damsker.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Next up, we have the paid invoices. Do we have a motion to approve the December 2023 paid invoices?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any public comments? Deanna, will you do the roll call?
President Hall,
Aye.
Vice President Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner McNaney,
Aye.
Commissioner Similaro,
Aye.
Commissioner Damsker.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Before we conclude this evening, we have a few more matters of business to discuss. 4 years ago, Commissioner McNaney and myself asked two women if they'd come out of public service retirement and help us break a glass ceiling in Upper Gwynedd Township. Ruth Damsker was a former tax collector and county commissioner, and Martha Similaro was a former political party chair. Both of them were still active volunteers in various organizations in their communities, but nothing as rigorous or demanding as being a township commissioner. And still, they barely hesitated to take a leap of faith and once again step up to further a cause bigger than themselves. Commissioner McNaney and myself were still relatively new to governance in the municipal world, so we might not have been as thorough in our description of the job as we should have been.
Got that right.
However,
That's for sure.
it didn't stop them from jumping in head first and fully giving of themselves. They worked diligently to learn every detail of how Upper Gwynedd Township functions so they could maintain and, when possible, improve it for the benefit of all who interact with it. They opened themselves up to our residents to get to know them better so they could be the best representatives of all who live, work, or play here. And they committed to working together with township staff and their fellow leadership team to make Upper Gwynedd Township a neighborhood where people wanted to live or at least visit. Commissioner Similaro and Commissioner Damsker, on behalf of your fellow Board of Commissioners, township staff, and all of our Upper Gwynedd Township residents, please accept these plaques in honor of all your hard work and effort that you've given to us over the last 4 years to make our township better. While your efforts were typically in the background and may have felt unnoticed, please know that they are felt in so many aspects of our community, and our gratitude for you is beyond measure. We're going to miss you. And as you push those glass shards out of the way off the walking path, know that we are just getting started and that none of it would have been possible without the two of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's my husband, by the way. Always a
We're going to miss you too.
We're going to miss you guys also.
Does anyone else on the board have anything else to add this evening?
I do. I do. Oh, Catherine does.
You first. Personally, I'd like to thank Ruth and Martha for helping and mentoring me throughout these past 4 years. Your counsel has been invaluable. And even though you're leaving me, even though especially you, Ruth, who sat there and said to me, I'm going to be here as long as you're here. And again, slightly a little bit off, it was not going to be that much. It's only 2 meetings a month. I remember those words as we sat in that room, but I truly appreciate everything, answering all my questions, taking all my calls and my text messages over the last 4 years. And again, your counsel has been invaluable, and I hope that you continue to answer my phone. Thank you.
You don't know about that, Catherine.
Can I, or
Yes.
before you go, Martha, Ruth and I go way back. I used to call Ruth, and she used to give me, as I called it, my Ruthication on all kinds of issues. And so, Ruth, I'm going to miss your being such a great mentor. But I know you're still around, so we'll appreciate that. Yes, you're still around. And Martha, it's been a pleasure getting to know you over the past 4 years, and I just so much appreciate all your input and everything that you have given to this board and that you've provided for our community. We're at a better place because of you and Ruth and your services. So thank you.
Is it my turn?
It's your turn now. Go
It's
ahead.
my turn. So obviously, you all know that Ruth and I are leaving the board at the end of the year. And for me, and I'm sure for Ruth, the past 4 years have been some of the most rewarding of my life. I hope I can get through this without shedding a few tears, so excuse me if I choke up a little bit. Following a long career in the corporate world, I was asked to run for commissioner, and I'm extremely happy that I did. I got to work with some wonderful people, I learned an awful lot, and we did some truly remarkable things for the township, in which I've lived for the past 30-plus years. There are many people to thank, so please bear with me for a few minutes. First of all, an incredible bouquet of thank yous go to the incredible staff here at Upper Gwynedd. Their dedication to their jobs and the people of Upper Gwynedd is unsurpassed. And I'm proud to have been associated with all of them, from the police department, the fire department, office staff, park and recs, maintenance, public works, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And a very special thank you to the entire staff of the wastewater treatment plant. As the board liaison to the plant, I have learned more about poop than I ever thought possible. But I also learned about the commitment and dedication of the staff to that state-of-the-art operation. I lost a lot of sleep every time there was a heavy rain, just like last night, and flooding was a threat, but I only lost some sleep. The staff lost sleep while they were filling sandbags and working overnight to make sure the plant kept operating properly. And very happy to say, over the last 2 storms, we have not had any issues at all, thank goodness. Also, a big thank you to Sandra, to Megan, Deanna. You're the team that keeps this township and the board on track every single day. Thank you very much for that. Also, Isaac, Nick, Lauren, Nicole, Nate, Van, who's not here tonight. Thank you for your insight and your counsel on issues affecting the township. I really appreciated everything you've done for me. Thank you to my husband, Frank Custer, I think, for his patience and encouragement. And thank you to the residents of Upper Gwynedd, who I've kept foremost in my mind over the last 4 years. And the final thank yous, of course, go to my fellow commissioners who have made the last 4 years not only worthwhile and meaningful, but fun. We didn't always agree, but I can confidently say that decisions that were made were based on facts and not emotions, and that those decisions were made with full transparency and were a result of what we believed was good for the township. I have full confidence that Rebecca and Greg, who are replacing Ruth and me, will join Denise, Liz, and Catherine in continuing the record that Ruth and I have contributed to. So once again, thank you for the privilege of having worked with all of you and having served the residents of Upper Gwynedd. Thank you.
You want to say something? Yeah, your turn. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, well, yeah, I have mixed emotions as Martha does, that I have been very fortunate that the people here in Upper Gwynedd, because I was a newbie, to be honest, and but there was a sense here of my board members and also the staff that has, as Martha said, has been very caring, and I want you to know that anything that we did for the community and for the well-being of our residents here in Upper Gwynedd. And I thank all the public who has come out to hear us and to learn how we have come to. One of the things that I really wanted to say was that the staff here is really exceptional. They care about all of you out there. And if any of you were up last night during that rainstorm, that that there is, like Public Works, for an example. People don't realize how much time and effort that these young men who we employ and that they have done, especially now we've been lucky, we haven't had any, I don't want to say it, but we haven't had any snow yet. But they're out there all night long, and people don't realize how much time and effort and that they put in, including our wonderful chief of police, that he is out there and makes all of us as safe as we can be. And one of the things I wanted to mention that Mr. Baker, who came and talked about the Pico Trail, that I want to tell you that we are very fortunate because we got this grant from Pico, and Pico had decided that we were going to be the last township that they were going to make a partnership with, because they wanted to make this a larger energy for the towers and everything else. And we had to work, and I know Sandra worked extremely hard to make sure, and they approved to work with us and to give us a grant. And so I really wanted to if you would thank Mr. Baker for all his work too. It's not easy, let me tell you, to get grants and to, and it's really been, it has been a pleasure for me to serve with my colleagues here, and I know that I'm leaving them in excellent hands here with all of you. And Martha and I have very mixed emotions about leaving. But I think that, like I said, that we are very fortunate to have the staff here and to have the people that truly do care about where we live, and to ensure that one of the things I do truly believe that we have someone on our staff, Parks and Recreation, that she is so phenomenal that she makes sure that we have all these things for our kids and for basketball, for baseball, for anything you want to think of. We are very blessed to have the staff that we do have. So I want you to come out for all the different events and enjoy yourself, bring your grandchildren and everything else, because it's a special place. I think that Upper Gwynedd truly is a special place to live. So I'll miss you guys, and And that's it. But thank you. I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. That was beautiful. All right. A lot of speeches tonight, but I've got one more teeny one that we'll just try to go right through and we'll go see the birds win. Okay. One more thing. I just want to thank the residents of Upper Gwynedd Township and my fellow commissioners for the opportunity these last 2 years to serve as president of the Board of Commissioners. I've learned quite a bit from the experience, and it truly was my pleasure to serve our community in this leadership capacity. As a board, we are committed to sharing all the aspects of these elected positions, especially the leadership opportunities. And I look forward to passing the baton to the next president of our board on January 2nd and supporting her as she continues to lead Upper Gwynedd forward. I hope you'll join us on January 2nd for the swearing in and reorganizing at 7 p.m. And on behalf of the current Board of Commissioners and the township staff, I'd like to wish you a safe and joyous holiday season. The meeting